One big problem that I see in life, and it's been going on for a long time, is when people come and speak about logical spirituality, or when they speak about, well, anything that they transpose from spirituality into something logical. It does make a bit of sense when you try to explain spiritual experiences to people from a perspective of someone who has experienced certain things beyond the mundane, beyond the regular five senses. I have experienced some metaphysical events, and well, I can say they can be quite interesting or can be quite shocking for a lot of people because most people don't have, unfortunately, a certain stability in their life. And without that stability, experiencing things beyond your level of awareness, beyond your level of, capability in life can literally uh, leave you with some traumas. Some things can even pop within your system, leaving you with some serious wounds. Some of them may be irrecuperable. That is why, in most situations, things beyond the mundane will not happen to the majority of people. Not that not because of some supernatural force that takes care of you. See, because a lot of people feel useless, they feel bad, everything about them is annoying, bad, not good enough. See, this psychology has been going on for the longest of times. Even religions, the Abrahamic religions, have been unfortunately put, put to use by this psychology of misery by people who have been convincing themselves generation by generation that everything about them is difficult, everything about them is evil, all about humans has to be bad. There can only be, hideousness in this world. See, the problem with such people is they invest so much into their misery, it becomes their comfort zone. And when it becomes their comfort zone, the only objective they seem to have in their life is to simply impose that upon everyone else. Everything that is created in misery or that is assimilated by misery, sooner or later will become a tool that will propel misery even further. It will impose it. That is why clear minded thinkers were never liked by miserable people, because miserable people are prosophobic. They hate change, they hate progress. So, therefore, it always must be just like them. They cannot accept something beyond them, something beyond their experiences, and they're not going to improve their lives. So, this is how, in time, even religions and, well, what is beyond religion, aka spirituality, well, beyond religion can go well with occultism, yes, if it is used in certain ways, but religion, in a way, kind of ends up more like a philosophy. See, the biggest problem humans have with their mind is their logics. Because logics only make sense while you are stuck in your cube, in your capabilities, in your potential to see the world. See, for a child, it is very logical to pull a fish out of their water bowl because the child might think, and it is logical to the child, that the fish might drown, which proves that logics is flawed beyond a certain level. You see nowadays all so many bozos of a scientist trying to present you with all sorts of ideas about a black hole. They do you all sorts of maths and such about black holes, but they don't prove you anything. Nobody fucking knows what a black hole is. And the human mind will not ever want to comprehend that a black hole is literally nothing. Literally, there is nothing in beyond, like beyond that blackness which you can see. The black hole is the end of space and time as your senses and your existence can perceive. The moment you get close enough to those, you will be literally vaporized because of the intense heat of the matter that is around it, or because of the fluctuations, space time fluctuations that it has. See, science even tells you about that, but no movie reminds you of that. A black hole of a very small size can cause a huge havoc, can have all the planets in our solar system run amok in all directions by like not even being within our solar system. It can have such an influence from afar. But you don't see any of these in the movies. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they get their education out of silly made movies. Movies that don't have any logics, they don't have any rootedness in reality and how things should be. Because in the end, the movies don't care much about the science and the such. You see all sorts of, mistakes in movies about aircrafts. Because, companies have millions of dollars to make a movie, but they don't have a little budget to, get in touch with an aircraft, like a fighter jet pilot and ask them a few things so that they correct their things. You see a lot of mistakes and illogicalities in video games, but nobody cares much because everyone in their misery wants to get themselves distracted. Distraction is apparently the easiest way out of misery, right? For a lot of people. That is why nothing special happens in their life. They're doing only the easy things. So when you end up with bozos telling you that spirituality has to be logical, they are some of the biggest fucks in the world. They don't know shit about most of the things they're talking. Some of the gurus, some of the wise people will find a certain logical way to present you things. But ultimately, whether they present it in a logical way or not, if someone hasn't experienced something, it is going to be just a story. Miserable people will just take it for granted. Because in the end, it is free distraction. Someone talks to you, you're gonna not be interested in that anyways, because if you can't care about something, you're not gonna care about you, you're not gonna care about anyone or anything. It's just free speech, it's just talk. It's just something that they will take for cheap, right? They will take it for cheap talk, they will take it for granted, and well, they won't care for anything anyways. So if we are to think a bit about, nothing about spirituality is logical. See, logics also is, as I said, fundamentally wrong because it is based on the cube that you live in. Or, well, the humans call it the mind, but I call it a certain cube because the mind is like a prison where it stores all the information that it gets, and logics only is based on the information that you have. Only if you become intuitive and you become in tune with your intuition, that is when you access a different, higher level of logics. Because intuition is another aspect of logics, but it disregards the lower levels of the mind that we make use of, right? All of those calculations in mathematics, for example, they can be fundamentally wrong. For example, like as they are about black holes. Everyone is calculating masses of black holes, but how can you calculate a mass of something that doesn't exist? You must first presume that, it has a weight. It does not have a weight. There is no space, there is no time in there. But the mind does not want to accept that. And it's constant seeking for validation, approval, and of course, distraction from the misery it is in. Obviously, it will keep inventing all so many things. And those people will fucking fight over all of those details that they think they have done, and to them they are logical, but they have no sense with reality, right? Because as I said, logics can be flawed by design. You can make all sorts of theorems and calculations about maths because whatever way you put math, it's always going to be correct in its own way. You can calculate 2 plus 4 equals 6, but if you put that in the wrong context, you might actually end up with another so-called theorem that might be correct, but not in that right aspect. You might say that a black hole weighs a certain thing because you may presume that it has a certain diameter, and then you use some theorems to, get like what kind of weight it might have. But yet again, when you don't know anything about something, everything seems correct when you judge upon it, right? Even when you were like starting on programming or anything that you didn't know, you are doing certain things, for some reason they felt like they were correct, you are doing those again and again, and it felt like that is the only logic that you can have, right? And then you were proven that it is not correct, and then, well, your whole logics went to the drain. So when it comes to spirituality, ask yourself a big freaking question. Do you think creation itself showed itself to you and made some people on this world feel like they are the chosen ones? Even in the Bible it is said, in the seventh day when creation was over, creation is resting. Yes? When creation is resting, creation did not ever, like creation itself, that which created this whole cosmos, did not show itself to us humans. It was most likely some hyper advanced alien races, and obviously to us, they would look like gods. Because anything that your mind cannot grasp is indistinguishable from magic. That is why magicians exist. They will pull some tricks, they will bend your mind, and you will think, what kind of magic trick do you have? To them, it's not magic because they know what they're doing. But to you, it definitely feels like magic. All of those tricks that you can see in different, entertainment rooms, right? Like with those wobbly windows that make you look much thicker or much taller than usual. They are specifically made to play with how you perceive things, right? And obviously, that might look as magic. But there is a logicality behind that. And if you don't know about it, you will think that that is the reality as is. And if you think that reality is in a flawed way, your logics will also be flawed, right? You cannot go on forever presuming that creation wants you to be fully subservient to it. That is just a narcissistic wet dream. All narcissists want is that you bow to them, irrespective of what bad things they do to you. You are not allowed to do them anything in return. Sounds much like Zionism? Well, Zionism and communism are the apex of narcissism when they end up a lot in places of, rulership. So when it comes to life and even the Abrahamic religions, those people who invented those knew nothing about fucking life. They knew nothing about creation as is. And they had to create something that would literally impress the masses. Because the masses were also illiterate. That's why I always told people, take only the teachings of your religion. The rest is simply irrelevant. Nobody can ever believe that creation itself showed itself to you. A lot of people pray to their God and then they swear God that nothing happens in their life. Creation is never going to show itself to you. No higher force will show itself to you to help you with something. You are here, you have to do your own work. You can pray all much you want, nothing's gonna change. If you have a certain openness of yourself to the cosmos and to its secrets, if you have a certain purity of heart, certain forces in the universe may actually yield you some, let's say, favorable events. But those forces are not angels, they're not necessarily physical beings. They're just forces of the cosmos that you can make use of. Or you don't even need to make use of. You might simply draw them into your life by the purity of your heart, by your true pantheism, for example. And that's when, when some people are pure at heart, maybe they're not good at anything, maybe they don't know much, but people around them will definitely feel as if those people are like, for some reason, like blessed with everything one may have, right? So before you start mixing spirituality with logicality, first and foremost remind yourself that spirituality is beyond logicality. Where logicality ends, spirituality begins, because spirituality is all about experiencing things beyond your physical body, beyond your mind, beyond the current level of survival that you live in. Yes, your brain, or your mind, how you call it, is an excellent tool for survival, but not for anything else. It is a tool designed to create means of survival, means of escaping from different situations, to better your life, or to worsen it if you don't know how to make use of your mind. But that is the utmost it can do. So hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, enjoy life, and this being said, Ferenc on board, signing out.